Hello, everybody. No countdown clock. 60 seconds is way too long. Welcome. You can see above here, Tyler still does not have his own overlay for Brassring Media. So you will just get this imaging for me in my basement. Welcome in. Let me get the comments up. It is another episode of Brassring Media. Just with me today, Zach, in the shoot job, is tied up. But as my hair is flopping down. How's it going, everybody? We're here to talk Dynamite. Welcome in. We're going to let people sashay in, so to say. And, I've got my very official handwritten list of the good, the meh, and the bad from last night's Dynamite. Typically, a wrestling show, Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, has anywhere from 6 to 9 segments, key segments. And Tracy's in the chat. Hello. Yes, the hair. It looked better before I zoomed my face on the top here. So please forgive me for teasing my hair here live on air. But we're talking Dynamite only Tyler. So let's get right into it. We were in San Diego, California. Another smaller venue, which I think helps. There was that one crane shot at some point in the show. It was like in the middle of the show. That was nice to get like hey, here's like, if it's A is hard cam side, B is side, and C is behind. Like you got a lot of B and A side, and then just the first row, which obviously there was no people behind the first couple rows, but a nice use of crane shots. Not direct competition to WWE doing the promos in the stands that shows the entire crowd, but still a touch I thought was nice and a change in the presentation of AEW, at least that I've noticed recently, and that there's effort there to present the product still in a positive light, or to continue to evolve and not just do the same thing. Now, could that be done a lot more throughout the product? Yes, but positive notes where positive notes are deserved. It's my adage here. But we're going to bounce around. I don't want to do like all good, then all bad, and then all bad. Like, that'd be kind of a boring way to go. So let's start with the world title scene. Jon Moxley, Cope, formerly Adam Copeland, formerly Edge, the Rated R Cope, the Rated R Star Cope, all of that good stuff. The segment there was in the good side, I would say. So thumbs up for me on this. Have I loved the build to this? No. But I enjoy the story being told that Moxley needs his minions as a heel to continue to win the title, even though Moxley wins pretty overhandedly, right? Not underhandedly. It is nice for a babyface to be intelligent and to be like, hey, I've got 6 weeks before I wrestle this guy. Edge is not the most honorable babyface when he's been a babyface in his career. So this is true to him, his character, what people like about the Adam Copeland character. And so I think that's positive. It's probably his idea, and Moxley was down with it, if I had to guess. But this is why it's good to have veterans that you trust to tell a good story on your show, right? Like, has everything Christian's done been perfect? No, but I think more often than not, Christian's an entertaining guy, more or less. Sting, coming out, all that stuff, making Darby look like $1 million when he's around, having fun matches. That's more based, in my opinion, on those veterans, their calls, their knack for the business than Tony Khan booking them is. So shout out to Edge, shout out to Jon Moxley for being good partners in this story. As we go here, Claudio gets taken out. We jump forward a little bit. Him being Edge, Cope, Willow, and who's the third? Oh, Jay White were there as Claudio got taken out via ambulance to a local hospital. So all that was good. But in the match itself, setting up Shafir for the concerto was a good touch. I understand like Willow having to come out and be like, oh, I'll just take this opportunity to take her out. Fine. If it leads to a match, we get Marina Shafir wrestling more and someone like Willow, that's a positive note in my book. So I liked that, even though it's a little clunky to get her out there because you can't have a man do a concerto, which looks bad in 2025. Not from like a, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that, from a, well, they just hit a chair with a chair and the person happened to be in between. Now, I understand being laying on the ground and taking that spot is different than watching it on television, but that's what I'm going to comment on, as a vast majority of the audience is watching it via television, and it kind of looks like lame in 2025 in HD. So it worked in 2001. We never seen it, but beside the point. Moxley coming out and then running away was a nice touch to the character and him, his evil character. Not wanting to put himself out there for everybody else. But I like that. Andrew's in the chat. Hello, Andrew. Gold member of Brass Ring Media. Good point here. I'm going to pop it up. Obviously, you have unlimited comments popping up here. But a lot of trust there, though, is what Andrew says. How many has Willow ever done? Good point. And that is concertos, Shafir, etc. That's one thing that hopefully you can do that backstage a lot. If I'm Marina Shafir, if I'm Cope, if I'm Willow, I'm backstage at 5 p.m. local time, and we're doing like, hey, I'm Edge. I'm standing here. This is where you hit that for me without someone there. And then we'll put like a watermelon or whatever, something from catering, and you do a trust one there. So I think a lot of practice ahead of time, but still, yes, a lot of faith to be put in Willow there. But Willow's a good worker, takes care of her opponents. So if anyone's going to do it, I'd trust Willow if I was a woman on the roster. So good point, though. Sean's in the chat. Tracy's here also, talking about my hair. Tyler Hair and Dynamite, like the good old days. Hello, Tracy. Sean's here, another gold member. He's saying, what's up? Hello. Saying hi to Tracy. He's not saying hi to Andrew, so there must be some beef. I'm just kidding, guys. But Sean says they're trying to make Copeland look like a worthy challenger, but it's not working. I don't know who Copeland is. I know who Cope is. I'm just kidding again. But last night worked more for me, Sean, in the story of, I guess, the meta story. Because I get what they're doing story-wise, right? And Sean did say hi to Andrew, so I'm glad we could squash that beef before it started. Just kidding, guys. Love all three of you that are currently commenting. Love you guys, and love everyone watching via Twitter or What's Your Sport YouTube page as well. So hello, everybody. But yeah, I like the meta of it because taking away Moxley's minions opens up the possibility for me that they are going to go with Cope here. Also, like is tradition in AEW, we'll talk about this here for another segment. I did like, but there's a match on this card coming up, the Revolution card, that signifies what direction they'll go in the main event based on, alignment of face heel. So more of that. So yeah. So again, Mox, Cope, thumbs up segment. I liked it. It'd be nice for the world title to be like on display, the belt itself, right? Because we're getting a lot of international belt action. And I know Kenny Omega's part of that, and we'll talk about that as well. But it is weird to not have seen the world title in months and months and months. So that's that. Let's go to a meh segment, as I talked about on the top. We're doing good, meh, and bad. Outrunners versus the Murder Machines. Is that what they're called? Whatever on this. Honestly, if you asked me last night, let's say it's 7:55 Eastern time, and you're like, hey, Tyler, this is on me. Actually, let's pause that because Tracy's got a good point here. Moxley will have to get new minions. Yes, that's the other part I wanted to get to, so thank you, Tracy, for getting that in my brain once more. But yeah, that's another thing here too, right? If Copeland isn't there, does Moxley, I don't know. Does Christian and the gang come in and help him win? So Christian screws over Copeland, cashes in, becomes world champion, and then the winner of Ricochet Swerve takes on Christian and becomes champion quickly. Like, there's lots of options here that can be intriguing. So yes, new minions also opens up the door for that. Sean, you're reading my brain. So this was like close to bad, the closest mess segment to bad. The match was not good. Archer and Cage look like dopes. Well, they usually look like dopes in storyline. And then also you're just like, hey, Sean, you just like do the show for me. I'll just pop your comments up because we're in lockstep here. The Outrunners are funny, but they aren't good wrestlers. Like, I barely think they're funny. To me, they're like real annoying and kind of a mockery of the business, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I understand like what they're going for. But you know, but what I was going to say ahead of time, like 7:55 p.m. yesterday, hey, Tyler, who are the AEW Tag Team Champions? I probably would have gotten to the Hurt Syndicate, but like I totally forgot that they were Tag Team Champions. So, you know, you're setting up a team for them to beat. All fine and dandy from like a straight booking decision. I get it. And like they better kill the Outrunners. Like they better like toy with them, eat them up, throw them out. Maybe the Young Bucks come out and like stop them from getting beat down post match. That's kind of what this feels like. It's like Outrunners being like the way to get the Young Bucks over as baby faces once again because they've been gone. Then you set up maybe All In, Hurt Business versus Young Bucks. That, you know, ladder match, right? Something like that. It feels like what the pace is. Then I'm like okay with this. But yeah, I mean, Sean again, you know, agreeing with everything, you know. Andrew, Archer and Cage should be the biggest jobbers in wrestling history. Yeah, they are. I mean, if you're Archer, like you're working at a big company and making a good salary. Cage, you know, if you take 5 years ago, what he was, like I think he would have gone to WWE, but like again, big guys in modern wrestling, just like it doesn't work. At least big the way that Cage is big to me. Like he'd be jobbing to Braun Breaker, I think. If he was in, you know, would he be the heavy for Chad Gable? Like that seems like his role. I don't know, but maybe I'm wrong. Sean says they aren't worthy challengers for the Hurt Syndicate, being the Outrunners. I agree. But like, you know, let's let the story play out here. And I like the Hurt Business getting to absolutely decimate a team that people love. You know, the probably the most loved. What that tells you about AEW, I think, is a lot. Tag team in the company. So have them just absolutely destroy these guys, get heat. All that works for me. Who comes out to save them? Probably the Bucks, like I said. Get over very fast, etc. You know, if Cope loses, you could do Cope and Jay White as a tag team. That you could do as like a bridge before the Bucks, or you do the Bucks and then you do Jay White and Cope versus the Hurt Syndicate as like the all-in match. So I think there's ways to go from here, but yeah, we'll see where that goes. But yeah, the match itself was not good, but it was more to get that, you know, the match set up at Revolution. So that's why I push it from bad to meh. So let's do another segment I liked. You know, I've not liked this whole rigmarole of the international title scene, but the match itself last night, Orange Cassidy and Takeshita, was good. I enjoyed it. And, you know, obviously you didn't want Orange Cassidy and Kenny Omega being the match at the Revolution. But I did like that they alluded to, you know, past world title matches with Pac being involved as well between them to say like, hey, these guys have gone at the highest level before. It is possible. That was a nice touch. But yeah, the match itself was good. Takeshita is an incredible performer, and it's just good when he gets time. You know, they're really hitting hard. Omega losing twice in 1 week to Takeshita before he left due to his illness. So it makes me curious where they're going to go, right? Zach and I are going to preview Revolution next week in full, but there's a lot of factors here, right? Like, do you want Kenny to be 0-3 to Takeshita, lose on the comeback? No. And then there's still like a match because he's got matches up on him. But like, you know, we'll probably hit this hard next week, so I don't want to go into it too much. Like, I don't want Kenny to have this international title. And then what? Like, he's got the international title. Okada's got the Continental title. Is that the match? And like, Swerve is the champion at All In against somebody. Like, that's fine. You know, like, I think ideally, I still want Okada Kenny for the world title at All In. But if it's Continental title versus international title, merge the belts. You have a TNT title. You have a international continental title and a world title, I'll take that. And that's the match. And if it's Swerve and like MJF in the main event, that works. Those two guys are going to have a great program. I'm okay with that. And then, Tony and Mercedes. Like those 3 matches, huge. Going to sell out that baseball stadium easily, I think. So all that makes sense to me. And Sean agrees. They need to merge those titles. I agree with that, as I just said it. And if anything in my wrestling persona, if anyone has known me, you're like, hey, what's Tyler all about? Say he wants less belts in every company. That's the one change if he was the czar of wrestling that he would do. And probably, well, for me as a fan, if I was the business side, I'd make everybody an employee so they get health insurance, etc. But that's not really sexy to talk about here on a wrestling show. So yeah, good match. I like the setup for, yes, Sean says WWE as well, TNA as well, New Japan as well, GCW. Every wrestling company could use less belts easily for me. So that's just like a banner statement across all time and space. WCW back in the day, everything. Less belts, less belts, less belts, less belts. Make those people with those belts feel important. Danny Garcia would feel important if there were 3 belts, not 17. So, end of story. So yeah, like that. Do I need Orange Cassidy in a main event of Dynamite any more this year? No. So please let's behold to that. But yeah, it's good. All right, let's go to a bad segment. I had 1 out of 8. 1 out of 8 was bad. Can you guess what it is? It better be obvious because it was the Harley Cameron and Deonna Purrazzo match. What was that? Here, positive note on the top. I like that Harley won. They're trying to build her up as a fan favorite. Commentary team saying like, man, these fans are standing up for this finish. And it was like 3 people in the front. Fine and dandy. Whatever you got to do. If you had the sound on and weren't watching the picture, they did a better job describing it than what was happening. But, this was slow plotting, like Deonna Purrazzo today versus that like 21-22 TNA run. It's not the same. Sure, Tony's not happy about that. When she came in, probably thought he was getting a top 6 worker, and that just hasn't happened. So I'm glad they gave it to Harley here. But beyond that, the match was bad. The crowd wasn't into it. It felt very much like pandemic era one women's match there. But yeah, it felt very clunky. I don't know who to blame on that. I'm going to lean Harley because Deonna is, as Sean says here in the chat, very talented. So I don't want to put it on her, but man, he's not using her for a reason. And last night showed why. If it's we just saw it, right? Mercedes and Harley in that match difference. So just the level of work rate between the chasm there is major. So this is not good. I like the Harley one, but bad match. So let's go to another meh segment. And that's let's go Will Ospreay and Brian Keith. Fine match. Ospreay's gonna have a good match with anybody. He's like Mercedes. Not that Brian Keith is a Harley Cameron level wrestler. He's way better than that. But a little video to have them set up this match is fine. Don Callis family wants Ospreay hurt before their match. Fine. Match itself, fine. This is just fine down the line. Good booking after the match. Ospreay comes in and goes to he's called up to the box where the Don Callis family are, and him and Fletcher battle in the stands, and they get pulled apart. All that was good. It felt like something you want to do next week, maybe, as opposed to this week. The whole story of injuring somebody 10 days out or trying to rough them up. So, but yeah, it was totally okay. And I'm excited for this match. But I wonder what they do next week, if anything, or if it's just a video package of maybe them sitting down and saying why it's important. Because it felt like the blow off of the build was at that moment of them battling in the stands. So So we'll see, but it was totally okay. Another good segment. Let's go Hangman Page. Not the match with Aaron Solo. I mean, that was like a squash match, but MJF coming out. Hangman sitting down before that and calling out MJF, say he's not leaving for like this is the Hangman character that people loved back in the day, minus him grabbing beer and drinking it. Like he's found a different change of his character, but a version of the character that people like. And so this is thumbs up for me on the Hangman character for MJF. Like it's a baby face that people want to see beat MJF, which has not happened in a long time. But it was good. And MJF coming out with the bloody towel, at first I'm thinking this is a reference to Hangman and Swerve's match that like, hey, you're a, what do you call it? Like a mud wrestler, right? Isn't that what it's called? Whatever. You're someone who just does, I'm glad you disagree, Sean. We'll talk about this. It got me at least. Like I thought that was a reference to, hey, you're just like a BS deathmatch wrestler. You're not a real wrestler like me. But Sean didn't like it, so let's pop that up. Because Sean said the angle was so bad in a sense that why did it take so long for people to tend to Daniels? Just so unrealistic. Well, maybe it seemed like it was in a dark, not to defend kayfabe, I kind of hate doing that. But thank you, Andrew. I'll pop that up here too. But it was in a back corner of the area. Maybe he'd beat him up and walked right out there, and no one knew in time. So whatever, right? It's fine. It's more weird to me that Hangman basically ends the career of this guy, and now they're buddy. It's kind of a weird connection there. You would have liked that more fleshed out ahead of time, but it is what it is. I liked it. Clear babyface, clear heel for MJF. I think MJF wins this. Spoiler alert, but it's a way to get him over as a heel and build him up as we're building up with the other segment I like. So overall, I liked it, and it gives Hangman a reason to be a good guy, and it gives MJF a reason to be a bad guy. And I'm excited for their match. So for that, it's a win to me. But Andrew pops here. Outlaw mid-show BS is what Cornette calls it. So yes, that's what I thought MJF was kind of doing there, which is funny because like obviously I don't listen to Jim Cornette. I assume he would hate the Adam Page character in all his matches and probably like MJF in most of his stuff he does, besides the song and dance stuff. So that'd be a little play. To be a heel also is to side with Jim Cornette in 2025 on Wrestling Matters. So I like that. Okay. 2 more segments. We had the Kingdom taking on FTR and Danny Garcia. Again, same level of heat as the women's match. Nobody cared. Like FTR, nobody cared. Danny Garcia came out, nobody cared. Kingdom, nobody cared. Match itself, I liked as much as I can. I think a trios match is about the worst form of professional wrestling that you can get in my face. So it never means anything. The stakes are always tremendously low. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, Adam Cole works best in a team right now from a character standpoint, from a being able to work standpoint, get spots in, get back on the horse, so to say. So thought it was a fine match. Everyone did their part. And, this was weird. So, okay. I think you guys are right. The match was meaningless. Andrew says that it was weird. Sean says, get the Kingdom away from each other, please. So here's the thing. I agree with that completely. This is in the meh category. Take it or leave it. Is how we were. If you're committed, if you're Tony Khan and you're committed to the Adam Cole character and trying to make it work, I have to commend this because you're trying. Is it working? No. But, you set up in this collision too. like the collision they were building is not the greatest show of all time, but like you have an Adam Cole title match. You have Kenny Omega there talking about his match with Takeshita in a week. Like there's stuff on there to be like, oh wow, this is going up against Elimination Chamber. At least I think so. Unless it's going to be at least part of it. At least they want people to DVR and watch it Sunday. Worst case scenario, but they're trying. And like, I don't know if Adam Cole's going to beat Danny Garcia. It's not a move I thought was coming. So it's an interesting, that itself, like put it over the top from bad to meh, because I'm intrigued to see what they do. And do they put the TNT title on Cole? You know, if it's Adam Cole, TNT champion, let's say in 2 months, right? So we're in early May. If Adam Cole's your TNT champion, if Kenny Omega is your international champion, Kazuchika Okada is your continental champion, and Moxley, Cope, Swerve are your world champion, that's a pretty good lineup, and you can do some things there, right? It's not Danny Garcia. It's not Takeshita. From like a star power standpoint for most people, I love Takeshita, so don't get it twisted. But, you know, I see the vision. I just don't know if it works. But hey, it's the TNT title. It's essentially worthless, not on Cody Rhodes or Darby Allin in its long history. So, like, why not take a chance? I don't think Tony Khan, AEW are precious about that. So, a total meh segment. All right, our last segment, which was another thumbs up positive segment. We have the Swerve and Ricochet and Prince Nana. Swerve coming out with Nana, talking about he's lost, he wants to go for that world title once more, which is the first time saying that. AEW doesn't do that lightly. Kind of like WWE didn't do it lightly where a babyface would come out and say, yes, I'm going to win this thing, even though they've done that with the Elimination Chamber. So it negates that, at least for this show. A babyface coming out and saying, like, I want that world title, that is reasonable, means it's coming up, right? Think even of Jack Perry saying, like, I want to win gold in 2023, 2024, whatever year that was. He said that. AEW does this, and they don't take it lightly. So that was important for me as a fan, as a big Swerve fan too. I don't think he ever should have lost that thing. And if if Cope loses and Swerve's the number one contender and takes it from Moxley, it will have kind of righted the wrongs of like him dropping that thing in the first place. So that's good to me. And I'm way more down as in positive, like I'm down with AEW if that's the plan here intermediately. Ricochet comes out in the Nana garb, and he's like, I'm not giving you a match, whatever. Nana saying, hey, you take this match and you can be number one contender, etc. It echoes what Ricochet's been talking about for weeks about wanting gold, etc. As a heel, AEW doesn't count that as much. So both things make sense for their character, Swerve and Ricochet. It's also a rubber match between the two. So I think this is the best built match on the card coming up. Hangman and MJF slightly below that, but those two are the best built matches on this pay-per-view coming up. So all that was good. Ricochet's a really good heel, going from, being cucked by the Hurt Syndicate to this is quite the shift. And I would say at this point, Ricochet feels more important in AEW than he ever did in WWE. With the slight caveat that maybe that, North American title ladder match moment with like the six guys, like EC3 and Ricochet, and lots of talent in that. Not to say EC3's talent, but lots of good wrestlers besides EC3 in that match. It was probably the peak for him in WWE NXT. But yeah, I think if you're like looking at a Ricochet perspective here, the move to AEW was a good one because his star has risen, at least with the hardcore fans, in my opinion. He's shown more here than he ever was able to or did in WWE talking, etc. So I think he's found a groove for his character. And Swerve's obviously a great guy to work with. I mean, he doesn't have bad feuds with anybody. I would almost want to see him in a feud with Jeff Jarrett to see if he can do a better job than MJF did, just to prove that he's better in general. But I'm not going to wish a Jeff Jarrett feud on Swerve, so forget I said that. But yeah, I liked all of this. I'm excited for the match. Thumbs up. So take note. That was 4 segments that were thumbs up, 3 that were meh, and 1 that was bad. I'm going to give that a B show on an A, B, C, D, or A, B, C, D, F rating. I'm going to give that a B. Fine show. Helped, really putting the work forward to Revolution, trying to build Collision up for people to watch it. So commend that. And the Revolution show has 3 or 4 matches I really want to see. So I'm excited for that more than I was before the show last night. So all that considered, thumbs up. The intensity, the heat, the love for the product is missing, and that's a hard thing to quantify. So I don't know how they do that. Hopefully the build to All In, they can mimic a lot of what WWE does at this time of year, of like intrigue and who can come back and who can do what. But yeah, so let's see what you guys said. Andrew, Tracy, if you guys are still on here too, you can give your rating. Sean gave it a C+. Mox stuff really hurts for him. Yeah, I mean, I think the sooner it's off Mox, the better. Have the world champion actually walk around with that thing. It's just not working. That's why I think there is an opportunity for Cope to win, but I would prefer Swerve. My personal thing. Swerve win against Ricochet, and then him and Mox have, I guess do it at Double or Nothing. That feels like a long time away. So maybe do it a big show in late March, early April, and do the world title in the main event, or at the first match, and have it go 35 minutes, have Swerve retain, and then go on the Swerve run at least through All In. So that's what I would do, and I think that'd be better for the show. Swerve as champion, walking around with that belt, being a babyface champion, and the heels coming after him. So that's my review of Dynamite for February 26th, 2025. Thank you all, as always. And Zach and I will be back shortly talking Elimination Chamber and previewing Revolution next week, plus everything that falls in between. So until then, I'll see you guys later.